Hello and welcome to today's Techie Tea Party. Today's session is all about Google search, and we'll be going through how we can use some of the more advanced features to find the information resources that we're looking for. If you're already really confident with Google searching, you might want to choose to instead access some of the resources we've provided and some of the further guides, or make use of our Meet to ask some questions or share your knowledge, because we're all keen to hear about what's being used really effectively by other practitioners. So let's start with Google search. We know if I was maybe looking for information about Google Docs, I'll come along and I'll search Google Docs. But that brings with it a whole bunch of resources. So the first thing to think about is maybe my keyword searches. So I might then try Google Docs guides, and that comes up with a little bit less. I may want to put that in speech marks, which then means that that needs to be included within that. So that might make it a little bit easier to find what I'm looking for. And at that point, I'd probably then start looking at some of the tools. So I come along, I click the tools. The first thing I often think about is the time. So if this is something that we're looking at that's up to date, that's just happened at the moment, I might be choosing these first few options. But if I want something that's quite relevant, quite up to date, I might choose the past year. So then that pulls up with things that just have been uploaded since 2019 to now. You can see here that it's given us a YouTube video that might be useful and suggested the little section that we might particularly want to focus on, which is really good and really useful in my opinion. The next thing I might want to do is choose the country. So if I click that, I can say it's from the UK. So if you're looking maybe something that's really specific to where you are, that's a useful tool to use. The next thing I'd be more tempted to use, and we'll take the UK off just now, and what we're going to do is we're going to go to the advanced searching tools. So if we go up to settings at the top, and then we go down to advanced search. It's possible with our Google search to search for specific file types. So I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to look at where it says file type, and I'm going to change that to being a PDF. Because for me with this Google Docs, I want something that I can read and that I can follow. So I'm going to now click advanced search, and you can see this has now came up with a whole bunch of different PDF documents. So I can click on this and it should then start downloading. So this is obviously quite a large document that I've clicked on here. So we'll just wait for this to quickly download. And we'll check to see if that's maybe the sort of thing that I was looking for. So I can now open it. And if I scroll down, we can see that, yeah, it's talking about maybe installing things. And does it actually then go into Docs? It's talking about Drive. And that might then further down include things that I'm looking for that might be of use. So we'll cross that off and go back. In general, when we're looking for things, searching by even the file type PDF at the end can be quite useful. So if I highlight this and maybe put in a maths ENO, I've not done this before, so I'm not sure how this will work. It'll then pull up anything that's got that ENO in it. So then we've got the actual E's and O's. We've got something around times tables from Joining Edinburgh. And that often works really well if we're doing something like looking for worksheets. So if I search for add-in worksheet PDF, that will often give us links to resources that are quite good and easy to find. So for instance, if I click on this, again, not a website that I've checked before, so I should really be looking at this. I can go to 2-digit worksheets, and there's a whole bunch of different things I can click on and get them nice and quickly. So that seems a really good way to use it. The other thing that we can do use when we're searching, I've got PDF there. If you think about how the documents you use end, they're often quite useful. So if I search for PPT, what that'll do is that'll search for PowerPoints that have added included in them. And I think it might have to be a bit more specific with the keywords. I can also use doc to find it, specific documents as well. The next thing that we want to move on to is use of images. So you can see here, we clicked images. So if I'm maybe looking for something like the Romans, We've still got this clicked as being in the past year, so I'm going to click that and choose anytime. So you'll see that it's popped up with different ideas or specific things that I might want to look at Romans. But I'm going to go back to my tools, and I'm going to start by looking at size. So maybe this is something I'm wanting to print out to put up on my classroom wall. So I want it to be a nice large image so it's high quality. So I click that, and suddenly those images are improved. I can choose color, and maybe I've got a red wall and I really want a really red image to put on it. I can click red, and that'll focus on images that have more red in them. We can go to usage rights, which I think is really important, especially if we're teaching our students about the importance of being aware of copyright and where our content comes from and respecting that. So I'm going to click this as labeled for reuse now. So this is stuff that we can all use without any worries around that. We've also got things like type now that we can choose, like if we wanted a GIF maybe to share with someone. We've got time that we looked at before. You'll also see at the top that we can search by images themselves. So if I click images, I can then upload an image, choose my file, and that'll then bring images similar to the one I'm looking for, or it'll show me where that's found online. So I say impossible related search, cartoon, scroll down. These are ones that look similar, and these are ones that actually have pictures that are very similar to that on them. So that can be really useful if you've maybe got an image that you really like and you want to work backwards to find where that came from. And the next thing to point out is videos. Videos is good that it pulls in YouTube videos, but also pulls in videos from other websites. So good if you want to go outside of just what YouTube has. So if I search for something like Romans or Roman chariots, you can see we've got YouTube, we've got ancient.eu, we've got the Smithsonian channel. So it's pulling in things from different websites, which I think is really useful. And again, we can start using our tools to filter that down as well, especially things like duration. In general, I like to use nice short videos. So we can click that, and then that pulls in those short clips that we might like. You've also got things like quality. So as in, I only want high quality, professional looking videos. So that might be useful for finding things to share online. We've got shopping, we've got news. News is really good for if you want to keep up to date. If we click more, I'd also point out the use of books is useful for finding maybe specific references or finding tasters of books. So you can often check online to see what it starts to look like. The final thing I was going to share today, or actually two things, but the second last thing is that if we are online and we want to use that search by image again, on any image online, we can hold S on our keyboard. And if we're using Chrome, we can then either double click or right click on an image, and then that will search for that image. So that's really useful if you're maybe wanting to find out more information or other references around the same content, especially if you're maybe researching about a specific person. And we can then see all the different websites that include that image. The final thing just to point out, if you are using Google, is you'll notice that we do have the option of microphone. So often with the younger students in particularly, I get them to use that to search what they're looking for. So if I click this and then choose allow, Roman chariots. So I can search that, and it'll then search and bring me those results. So that could be really useful for using with your students. Thank you for watching. As always, if you have any questions or any expertise that you'd like to share with the rest of our group, please move over to the stream and share that. Thank you. Goodbye.